Does his Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage's decision to remove Te Reo Māori from formal letters inviting an Australian minister who is a champion of Indigenous languages to New Zealand for Mātariki celebrations reflect the standard of behaviour that he expects from his ministers?
Well, I would just say to that member, we value Te Reo on this government. What I'd also say to that member is the correspondence was being directed to an Australian minister overseas. And what I'd say to you in my dealings with Australians, it always pays to be incredibly simple and clear.
Yesterday, and I want to ask the question, what is the big problem with saying tēnā koe, which means hello in his official invitation?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I was writing to a minister from Australia.
And that was after spending 5 years in a left-wing history department at university, and I was, starting to become a little bit brainwashed by that period. But I quickly snapped out of it once I got back out into the working environment and met characters like John Banks and people like him, and got involved in politics myself. So I wouldn't say that I was ever a kind of a lefty and suddenly converted
Does white privilege exist in your eyes?
Look, there's privilege across New Zealand. The problem with it is there's such a it's a stereotype.
So white privilege doesn't exist in the way that is understood.
No, it's just life is more complex. Some people do well, some people don't. Some people are privileged, some people aren't. And rather than focusing on the colour of your skin, focus on things that will really make a difference.
But the colour of your skin does make a difference to a lot of New Zealanders.
Yeah, but if you focus on the things that actually make a difference, in the education context, get them to school, make sure that at school they're teaching literacy and maths and they're well prepared to succeed in the 21st century in a global universe, then that's more important.
You wrote in an opinion piece in 2019 that on balance colonisation was a good thing. The good outweighed the bad. I'm just wondering, is that true for Māori?
Everybody will have their own opinion.
What's your opinion?
The reality is that New Zealand was isolated from the rest of the world for centuries, and at some point it had to reconnect with the rest of the world, and that happened in the 19th century. It was always going to be a very traumatic experience. With it came all sorts of wonderful things, such as literacy, such as the freedoms and democracy that have come through. So, yeah, there's good and bad.
On balance, colonisation was a good thing for Māori.
I think on balance it has been.
On balance, colonisation was a good thing for Māori.
I think on balance it has been.
Kia ora, Minister. Hi. Hey, why did you ask officials to take Aotearoa and Māori greetings out of these Matariki invites?
Well, as I recall, it was in relation to sending an invitation to an Australian minister. I didn't think he needed a lot of te reo in his invitation because he's an Australian.
Yeah, I mean, of all time,
the scandal of the century, I would have thought.
Yeah, but of all times to use Māori, wouldn't it be an invite to Māori New Year, to Matariki?
Oh yeah, but I was just sending it. When I send an email or an invitation to an Australian minister, I just didn't think it needed a lot of te reo in it. That was all.
Email chains released to One News show the invitation officials initially proposed went from tēnā koe to dear, and Aotearoa New Zealand to simply New Zealand. The sign-off replaced with yours sincerely. An official noting the minister wanted all te reo Māori salutations and references made to Aotearoa New Zealand removed.
I mean, you look at our coalition agreement. It says unless there's been a referendum changing the name of our country, the name is New Zealand.
You may have seen there was a pretty cheeky comment by the New Zealand Prime Minister who said in his dealings with Australians it always pays to be incredibly simple and clear and use English. Has he got that right?
Well, Christopher Luxon's a friend of mine, but I often think that whilst we both speak English, sometimes we need interpreters with the Kiwi accent.